it was immediately pumped out and it triggered the next door to go down. But now it comes in and that myelin sheath doesn't allow it to be pumped out, and so it just continues that gradient going down faster and faster until it gets to its gap junction, and then it can be pumped out and pumped back in.
The only time you
Between
need action
this-
potential is between
That's between the myelin sheath
Right.
cells.
Red
Yeah.
cells.
Yeah.
The only time you need an action potential to travel the signal is between each gap. So you don't need as many action potentials because the insulation protects them from going out. Same thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna take the fact that he's not commenting on it, but that was correct.
So myelin sheaths are made up of individual cells. Well, it depends on where. Right? So as you grow, as you get older, the cells wrap themselves more times around that axon. So the older your neurons, the more wraps you have as that cell also ages. And that's right, the only place that you have both sodium channels and sodium potassium ATPase pumps that are functional are at the nodes of Rambier, which is in between each of those cells. So as you flood the cell with that sodium, less of it can be moved out as quickly because that insulation doesn't allow that it's wrapped around that axon in such a way that you can't get that sodium out, and therefore you have a higher change in the membrane potential. You have a higher difference, a higher change in that membrane potential, and therefore that change can move faster to the next node. Then at the next node, as you're flooding it with more sodium, that's also where some of that sodium is coming out, but you're now beyond the speed of what the sodium potassium ATPase pumps are working. They're constantly working, but you have such a flood of it in there, plus the flood of the new sodium that's coming in, that you continue that cycle all the way down. So you're making a higher change in the membrane potential, and less of it is leaving in that moment in time. Does that make sense? So therefore the speed of transmission is faster because of how much sodium is in there, how much change you had in that membrane potential. Okay? To the tune of an unmyelinated neuron will have an action potential that is running at approximately 1 meter per second. You have neurons, you have motor neurons in your body that are about 1 meter long, right? So unmyelinated neurons have an action potential traveling at about 1 meter per second. The myelinated neurons have somewhere around a 100 meter per second action potential, right? Which neurons are myelinated and why? Which are the neurons that are most myelinated compared to other neurons?
Pain.
What's that?
So does that explain the curves?
Pain?
What is the number one most myelinated neuron? Type of neuron? Say it. Motor neurons. Why?
You need to be able to hold multiple.
No, because you need to react exactly.
Someone
when you're
walks in
thinking it.
here with a gun,
You have to react.
and I need to react to this.
Beat
Hold
the
on.
dog.
I don't think you know what I'm going to say. If someone walks in here with a gun, and I need added cardiac output going to my legs, how much difference will it make if my heart speeds up in 1/100th of a second or 1 second? How much difference will it make to blood flow in my legs, to the muscles needing the oxygen and glucose, to them getting that oxygen and glucose? How much of a difference is it going to make?
Not that much.
Not that much. So are postganglionic sympathetic neurons myelinated or unmyelinated? So if I am taking boiling coffee and dumping it on his hand, does his hand want to react in 1 meter per second reaction time or 1/100th
1/100.
of a second, or of a meter per second. Do you understand the difference there?
Yeah.
If I am crossing the street and I wasn't really paying attention, and I notice a car coming, do I want my muscles to react at a rate of 1 meter per second or 1/100? Does that make sense? The difference there? Motor neurons are the ones that are most commonly myelinated because we need reaction times that are much faster. We need synapses that are happening faster. We need action potentials that are happening much faster. I don't care so much about getting my heart rate to speed up. And I said it wrong. It's the presympathetic neuron ganglions that are myelinated, and they're very short, but the post ones are not, because we don't need to make my heart speed up that quickly in that manner. There's a different way I can speed my heart faster anyway.
I was just curious about like neurons in like your brain and your spinal cord. Are those often myelinated because they're so close together?
Yes, we have a lot of our central nervous system neurons and all of our motor neurons are the ones that are myelinated. Some of the sensories are, and some aren't. Make sense? Yes.
What's the name of the disease when you have your myelin sheath MS? That's what
It slows down conduction.
Yes, the movements get jerkier, they have much more pain, they can't do as much activity-wise at times, right? Because their motor neurons are affected. Make sense?
Yep.
Questions?
Yeah, you were talking about pre-ganglion versus post-ganglion, but I thought that it was post-ganglionic as well, because that's, the sympathetic inserts like really close to the spinal cord versus close to the target organ. So if you're actually trying to get the signal to the muscle, it does have to be post-ganglion, because that's extended past the spine.
You haven't said anything incorrect so far.
Wait, I thought that was
So what's your
completely
question?
counter
So
to
what's
what you
your
just
question?
said.
Well, you haven't said the word myelin yet, so what's your question?
Is
All of those facts that you just said are true, so what's the question?
sympathetic postganglionic neurons aren't myelinated.
No. Preganglionic neurons are myelinated. Postganglionic neurons are not myelinated. In neurons in a series, both with parasympathetic and sympathetic, the preganglionic neuron is myelinated. The postganglionic neuron is not. Except for in the situation of the adrenal gland, because we only have a preganglionic neuron all the way to the adrenal gland. You have a confused look, so let's fix it.
Yeah, that seems counterintuitive to what you just explained of how you need the signal directly to the muscle to be faster.
Sympathetics don't go to the muscle, to skeletal muscle. Sympathetics don't go to skeletal muscle.
For motor neurons?
Motor neurons are not sympathetic. Motor neurons are voluntary. They're outside the autonomic nervous system.
Right,
Well, you're putting two different systems together.
okay.
You're putting motor neurons into the sympathetic bag, but motor neurons are not sympathetic
Okay,
mediated. They're central nervous system mediated and voluntarily mediated.
Suppose audit.
Two different sets of neurons.
okay.
So the neuron that comes from the central nervous system to your skeletal muscle, it's a
Right.
single neuron.
Right,
It's myelinated. Has nothing to do with
Yeah.
sympathetics. Has nothing to do with sympathetic system. Sympathetic system doesn't have anything to do with that motor neuron that's going to skeletal muscle. Sympathetics go to organs, heart, gut, eyes, that kind of thing, but
Right.
not to your skeletal muscle.
So it's like the rest of the autonomic nervous system that
Correct.
you're talking about?
Yes. There's a confusion there, which means if you're confused, someone else is, so let's solve it.
if you have your extensor, flexor, reflex arc, that is contained in your sympathetic,
Say it again.
no.
So,
You know what I'm saying though? Like this is a fight or flight response to information that
Oh,
you're
I see.
receiving. If you're talking about boiling hot coffee,
You're saying moving your hand back is
No,
fight
that's
or
a
flight?
So we're talking about
Yeah.
nerves.
Hold on. Me moving my hand out of the way of something that's dangerous is not sympathetic mediated. That is a reflex arc that is right there within that local area that doesn't come up to the central nervous system at all.
Right, it's on your
Doesn't matter where the nerve travels. There's a lot of nerves that travel through that ganglion and continue on through the ganglion, but it's not sympathetic based. If I'm about to stab him and he jerks his hand away from that, that has nothing to do with sympathetics. The sympathetic system is not what's causing that. That is straight reflex based on environmental and sensory input to that site. That has nothing to do with sympathetics. Now, his next reaction of stress, increase in heart rate, and that kind of thing, that's sympathetic mediated. But that's not related to muscle control. That's not related to skeletal muscle control.
Reflex doesn't even happens before it even reaches the brain.
Correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't even go through the central nervous
One
system.
signal says roll your hand back, and the other signal goes to the brain and says now you need to react to this.
Yes, that's why if you
Yeah.
stick your hand in boiling water and move it, you felt no pain in that moment. Now you feel pain.
right.
That's because two signals were sent. One, which immediately caused you to have the reaction to get out of the way. The other one then went up to the brain for sensory perception of what happened there.
And then you
And then you perceive pain.
And then you're sympathetic.
None of that is related to the autonomic nervous system. All of that is related to motor neuron activity. That is completely independent of autonomic nervous system.
That's what you just brought it up, where it's like the stress that you feel afterwards, and your heart rate goes up because of the autonomic nervous system. You're
React.
sending
Yes.
out like
That's
norepinephrine
sympathetic.
to your heart rate increases.
Yes,
So that's because of that.
that's sympathetic based.
Way after that.
After.
But that's
like-
independent of what we're talking about with motor neurons, which have nothing to do with sympathetics or parasympathetics. I'm not saying that the autonomic nervous system doesn't have influence on the central nervous system to control those things, but that's independent.
Copy, I got it.
Alright.
Thank you.
Are we clear?
Any more
Sure.
questions?
Yeah, any more questions?
It's almost 2.
Nice presentation.
Alright, thank you.
That was a full 30-minute
I
presentation.
know, it's like, we ran way over.
Okay.
Don't erase that yet. I don't know who's next. You might want.
I was like, class
Yeah,
may be
don't
over.
freak out, those of you that didn't get to go, you
Oh.
will. Relax.
Never mind.
Okay, so this is a start of something that you guys are gonna be doing this term. In the spring term, you guys are going to be doing what's called a poster presentation sometime during spring term. You're gonna get the information on that at the end of fall, so you're gonna have almost all year to prepare for it. That poster presentation, those are very common things where you're going to be introducing some original research. And that poster presentation will be open to the public. And we will advertise that to agencies that perhaps you want to work for, who will be coming in, various people will be coming in to listen to whatever you have to say on some original research that you have found. I'll explain it all later. In the winter term, there'll be some times in which you'll present some of that information to your class, the information that you have. And we will pick that apart a little bit and make sure that you're well prepared to be able to answer the questions that you're going to get from any of those community members. And we will open it up to not just agencies to come in and look at it, but we'll open it up to partnering physicians, nurses, nursing students. We'll open it up to anybody to come in and gather that information from you on whatever that is. So you'll have plenty of time to prepare, but this is kind of that opening. The things that I'm looking at here are, I'm looking a little bit at your content, but I'm looking more at how you are presenting, how you're able to present, and what we need to fix in that. Because as a follow-up of our discussion yesterday, you're always in the public eye. And patient education is gonna be pretty big for you in your relative careers that you go out for as well. I'm gonna be posting a podcast for you to listen to. It'll be up probably later today, if not tomorrow, it doesn't matter. You'll have plenty of time to listen to it. It's a 6-series podcast that I want you to listen to. You don't have to do any related to homework about it, but we will have a discussion on it. And you're only gonna have one to listen to at a time. They're about 30 minutes or so. It'll be fun for you. It's not gonna be a dry, terrible podcast to listen to. But it's a podcast about a neurosurgeon who blatantly destroyed the lives of several patients
The ProPublica?
and never got fired, never got removed, even though he was causing all kinds of havoc. This is kind of a follow-up of a week ago. Do you remember we talked about 2 cases? One was an infiltrated hand, and one was an anesthesiologist from Riverbend, both of which those individuals still have their jobs with no ramifications related to their ability to do those jobs. And this is an extreme case of that and some of the reasons why that was allowed to continue. And we do see that in paramedicine as well. And so I'm wanting you to listen and spur a little bit of discussion related to that. It won't take you long to listen, and I'm fairly sure you'll be interested in it anyway. So I'll just post one a week for you to listen to. You're welcome to go and listen to it all ahead of time, but it'll cause a little bit of discussion for us. Sound good? So just be looking for that. Okay, last thing I'm going to say. You're at the end of week 2 of paramedic, right? And some of you are finding that it's a piece of cake with no problems whatsoever, and there's nothing overwhelming about it at all, right?
Who's that? Raise your hand.
Who said that? I will tell you, those of you that are kind of struggling, I can't stress enough, do a little bit every day. Don't try to wait. Find a way in your life. This is a good opportunity for you to kind of figure out how to work your life so that you can build a little bit at a time as you go through each of your days, so you're not stressed by the end of time. Our workload is not going to go down. I'm just telling you, you'll have some weeks where you have very little to do, and other weeks where you'll have a lot to do. But overall, the workload isn't going to go down. What you are mandated to know for your license is not going to change. The state laws governing what you have to know as a paramedic aren't going to change. They're only going to go up. So as you are kind of working out your life in these last couple of weeks, you're kind of figuring out how things need to be. I can't encourage enough. Do things every single day, a little bit every single day. When the homework is posted or things are posted, don't wait 3 days to jump on it. Good? Jump on it early. Also, if you're finding yourself doing the field guides as an assignment just to get through them and then trying to spend other time studying, that's not being looked at correctly. The field guide should be done as a means of your study, and really the way that I've promoted you studying in these little 20-minute increments, that's also how you should approach your field guide work. So the field guide should be a part of your study, and I wouldn't expect you to finish the field guide in one setting. I would expect you to do a question or even a half a question as part of your studying, and then come back to it and build on it over the course of several days that you're working on it. Does that make sense? So if you find yourself sitting down to do the field guide all in one setting and then trying to study separately, you're not looking at those assignments correctly or the way that they're intended. Does that make sense? It really should just be a means of, as you're going, it's part of your study. Good? Don't feel like you have to do it all in one setting. Spread it out. Spread everything out a little bit every day. Good? You made it to the end of week 2. Well, half of you made it to the end of week 2. Half of you still have today to finish up. So there's that. So that's it for today. I will be at that gym at 5:45 tomorrow morning. For anybody that wants to do their workout then or wants to have some extra stuff and time with me, you're welcome to come. It's right behind Walgreens on the corner of Q and Pioneer Parkway.